Hello, Fáilte, and welcome to the next instalment of our reading of the Táin Bó Cúailgne, the Cattle Raid of Cooley, with myself, Lora O'Brien, from loraobrien.ie and the irishpaganschool.com. So this is a labour of love, and I will keep coming back to it as and when I get the time. I'm also answering Mórrígan questions on the channel through this month and various other bits and pieces that I have on the go. So there's a lot going on, but we are going to get back to the Táin today, and I'm going to share the screen. And just to be sure that you don't miss any Táin episodes, make sure that you're on the mailing list at theirishpaganschool.com or at loraobrien.ie, and like the channel and hit the bell for notifications when new videos come on. So we did the proposals the last time, and now we are into the violent death of Etarcumul. Etarcumul, I think is how I would pronounce that. It's probably different in Old Irish. You maybe would pronounce it Etarcumul, but my modern Irish brain puts a shevu in there, a H. So we're going to go with Etarcumul. So Fergus's horses were brought and his chariot was hitched, and the two horses were brought for Etarcumul, son of Fee and of Lehran, a soft youth of the people of Maeve and of Ailill. Whither goest thou? Fergus demanded. We go with thee, Etarcumul made answer, to behold the form and appearance of Cuchulainn, and to gaze upon him, for he is unknown to me. Wilt thou do my bidding? Said Fergus. Thou wilt in no wise go thither. Why shall I not, pray? Thy light-heartedness, thy haughtiness, I know, but I also know the fierceness and valour and hostility of the youth against whom thou goest, and methinks ye will have contention before ye part. Art thou not able to come between us to protect me? I am, to be sure, Fergus answered, provided thou thyself seek not the combat. I will not seek it, said Etarcumul, till the very day of doom. Now, I think we all know that that's a lie, especially given the title of this section. Then they went their ways to come up to Cuchulainn, where Cuchulainn was between Fochan and the sea. There it is that he was that day, playing draughts with Laig. And not a living thing entered the entire plain without Laig perceiving it, and, notwithstanding, he continued to win every other game of draughts from Cuchulainn. A lone warrior cometh towards us over the plain, my master Cuchulainn, spake Laig. What manner of warrior? Queried Cuchulainn. Cuchulainn? I've never seen an abbreviation of Cuchulainn that is like that, Cuchulainn. Well, I mean, I'm not sure if it was in the other version of the Táin that I read. This is actually my first time reading through this version. I've read sections of it, but reading through all of it, because Thomas Kinsella's book, I don't have it right here, but Thomas Kinsella's translation of the Táin is the one that is my go-to paper copy. So the reason that we're reading this one, just in case anybody isn't familiar with the rest of the playlist, and do go back to the rest of the playlist, but the reason that we're reading this one is because it's out of copyright, basically, and is available online for people. So I just wanted to make it as easy as possible. And that is why we were putting up with this flowery language and the Cook shortening of Cuchulainn's name. So, as large as one of the chief mountains that are highest on a great plain appears to me the chariot that is under the warrior. As large as one of the noble trees on a main fort's green, meseems the curly tressed, fair yellow, all golden hair hanging loose around the man's head. A purple mantle fringed with thread of gold wrapped around him, a broad and grey shafted lance, perforated from mimask to horn, flaming red in his hand. I don't know what mimask is. Flaming red in his hand. Over him a bossed plaited shield, curved, with applied ornaments of red gold thereon, a lengthy sword as long as the oar of a huge currach. A currach is a traditional Irish boat, like a canoe kind of, on a wild stormy night, resting on the two thighs of the great haughty warrior that is within the chariot. Holla, welcome the coming of this guest to us, cried Cuchulainn. We know the man, it is my master Fergus that come hither. So that description of Fergus is an interesting one, because there's a lot of stuff in it that the purple mantle, for example, fringed with thread of gold, kind of marks him out as royalty, or former royalty, at least in Fergus's case. But obviously the physical descriptions as well, and it's quite Quite flattering, I suppose, the whole description of him. So, yet another single chariot fighter I see coming towards us, with fullness of skill and beauty and splendour his horse's speed. One of the youths of the men of Erin is he, O my master Laig, responded Cuchulainn. To scan my appearance and form is that man come, for I am renowned amongst them in the midst of their camp, and they know me not at all. Fergus came up to where Cuchulainn was, and he sprang from the chariot, and Cuchulainn bade him a hearty welcome. Thy welcome I take for true, Fergus responded. Verily, it is truly meant for thee, said Cuchulainn. For comes there a brace of birds into the plain, thou shalt have a wild goose with half the other. If fish rise to the river mouths, to the stones or waterfalls, thou shalt have a salmon with as much again. Thou shalt have a handful of watercress, and a handful of seagrass, and a handful of laver. If thou hast fight or combat with warrior before thee, I myself will go in thy stead to the ford, and I will watch and guard thee as long as thou sleepest. So he's really kind of nailing his colours to the mast with regard to loyalty to Fergus there. Well then, said Fergus, we know of what sort is thy hospitality on this occasion, on the cow spoil of Cúailgne. But as for this compact which thou hast asked of the men of Erin, single-handed combat with one man, thou shalt have it. It is for that I am come, to bind thee thereto, and do thou take it upon thee? So that's a question. He's coming to get this oath that Cuchulainn will pledge to go one-on-one, go single combat against the men of Erin in the way that was previously discussed. I pledge myself truly, said Cuchulainn, O my master Fergus. And no longer than that did he remain in parley, lest the men of Erin should say they were betrayed or deserted by Fergus for his disciple. Fergus's 2 horses were brought, and his chariot was harnessed, and he went back. So Fergus is being very careful to make sure that his loyalties are not being questioned. So the other lads now that were with Fergus, Etarcumul tarried behind, gazing for a long time at Cuchulainn. At what starest thou, Gilla? asked Cuchulainn. Gilla, as we've discussed before, is basically a slave or a servant. I look at thee, said Etarcumul. In truth, then, thou hast not far to look, said Cuchulainn. There is no need of straining thine eye for that. If thou but knewest how angered is the little creature thou regardest myself to wit, and how then do I appear unto thee gazing upon me? Thou pleasest me as thou art, a comely, shapely, wonderful, beautiful youth thou art, with brilliant, striking, various feats. Yet as for rating thee where goodly warriors are, or forward youths, or heroes of bravery, or sledges of destruction, we count thee not, nor consider thee at all. So this is the shit talk portion of the events, obviously. I'm just going to mute my phone. Normally it's on mute, but I was waiting on a phone call. Apologies for that. So he's thrown down basically in front of Cuchulainn, even though he swore he wouldn't. So not consider thee at all. Though thou reviles me, said Cuchulainn, it is a surety for thee that thou camest from the camp under the protection of Fergus, as thou well knowest. For the rest, I swear by my gods whom I worship, were it not for the honour of Fergus, it would be only bits of thy bones and shreds of thy limbs that would be brought back to the camp. So Cuchulainn is, in fairness, still trying to do the right thing as regards to Fergus. But threaten me no longer in this wise, Cuchulainn, cried Etarcumul. So the other lad's taking it as a threat. Great. For the wonderful terms thou didst exact of the men of Erin, that fair play and combat with one man should be granted thee. None other of the men of Erin but mine own self will come tomorrow at morn's early hour. Come out then, said Cuchulainn, and how so early thou comest, thou wilt find me there. I will not fly before thee. Etarcumul returned and began to talk with his driver. I must needs fight with Cuchulainn tomorrow, Gilla, said Etarcumul. 'Tis true, quoth the charioteer. Howbeit, I know not wilt thou fulfil it. Don't know how you're going to do that. But what is better for us to fulfil it tomorrow or forthwith tonight? To our thinking, said the Gilla, albeit no victory is to be won by fighting tomorrow, there is still less to be gained by fighting tonight, for thy combat and hurt is the nearer. Be that as it may, said he, turn the horses and chariot back again from the hill for us, Gilla, till we go to the ford of combat, for I swear by the gods whom I worship, I will not return to the camp till the end of life and time, till I bring with me the head of that young wildling, even the head of Cúailgne, for a trophy. The charioteer wheeled the chariot again towards the ford. They brought the left board to face the pair in a line with the ford. Leg marked this, and he cried to Cúailgne, wist thou the last chariot fighter that was here a while ago, O Cúchach? What of him? asked Cúailgne. He has brought his left board towards us in the direction of the ford. It is Etarcumul, O Gilla, who seeks me in combat, and unwelcome in his coming, because of the honour of my foster father Fergus, under whom he came forth from the camp of the men of Erin. But not that I would protect him do I thus. Fetch me my arms, Gilla, to the ford. I deem it no honour for myself if the fellow reaches the ford before me. So he's throwing his loyalty to Fergus out the window in favour of his own honour, as ever. And straight away Cúailgne betook himself to the ford, and he bared his sword over his fair, well-knit spalds, and he was ready on the ford to await Etarcumul. Then too came Etarcumul. What seekest thou, Gilla? demanded Cúailgne. Battle with thee I seek, replied Etarcumul. Hadst thou been advised by me, said Cúailgne, thou wouldst never have come. Because of the honour of Fergus, under whom thou camest out of the camp, and not because I would spare thee, do I behave thus. So he's given him a chance, in fairness. Thereupon Cúailgne gave him a long blow whereby he cut away the sod that was under the soles of his feet, so that he was stretched out like a sack on his back, and his limbs in the air and the sod on his belly. Had Cúailgne wished it is 2 pieces he might have made of him. Hold, fellow, off with thee now, for I have given thee warning. I will not go, we will fight on, said Etarcumul. Cúailgne dealt him a well-aimed edge-stroke. With the edge of his sword he sheared the hair from him from poll to forehead, from one ear to the other, as if it were a light keen razor he had been shorn. Not a scratch of his skin gave blood. Hold, fellow, get thee home now, said Cúailgne, for a laughing-stock I have made of thee. I go not, rejoined Etarcumul. We will fight to the end, till I take thy head and thy spoils and boast over thee, or till thou takest my head and my spoils and boastest over me. So let it be what thou saidst last, that it shall be. I will take thy head and thy spoils and boast over thee, said Cúailgne. So Cúailgne, in all fairness, completely, has been trying to give him a chance for the sake of Fergus, not for his own sake, but they're just fronting up against each other, and Cúailgne's made a bit of a dick of him, and he's not having it, so they're going to fight. So Cúailgne dealt him a cleaving blow on the crown of his head, so that it drove to his navel. He dealt him a second crosswise stroke, so that at the one time the 3 portions of his body came to the ground. Thus fell Etarcumul, son of Fee and of Lehran. And Fergus knew not that the combat had been, for thus was his wont. He never for aught looked back, whether at sitting or at rising, or when travelling or walking, in battle or fight or combat, lest some one might say it was out of fear he looked back, but ever he looked at the thing that was before and beside him. Seems like a bit of a flaw in Fergus there. And when Etarcumul's squire came up abreast of Fergus, Fergus asked, but where is thy lord Gilla? He fell a while since at the ford by the hand of Cúailgne, the Gilla made answer. That indeed was not fair, exclaimed Fergus, for that elf-like sprite to wrong me in him that came under my safeguard and protection. Turn the chariot for us, Gilla, cried Fergus, that we may go to the ford of fight and combat for a parley with Cúailgne. Now, reference to Cúailgne as an elf-like sprite is a nod to his other world, his otherworldly character, I suppose, or his nature, which is at least half of this world and half of the other world. And he comes from somewhere else. He's an outsider. He's a stranger. He's not of this land, basically. So thereupon the driver wheeled the chariot. They fared thither towards the ford. How darest thou offend me, thou wild, perverse little elf man? Wild, perverse little elf man, cried Fergus, in him that came under my safeguard and protection. After the nature and care thou didst bestow on me, what wouldst thou hold better, for him to triumph and boast over me, or for me to triumph and boast over him? And yet, Morel, ask his own Gilla which of us was in fault in respect of the other. Then Etarcumul's Gilla related to Fergus how it all befell. Fergus replied, Liefer to me, Liefer, L-I-E-F-E-R, Liefer to me, what thou hast done, fosterling, said Fergus, and a blessing on the hand that smote him. So Fergus is like, all right, yeah, cool. He asked for that, right? But he goes beyond that, a blessing on the hand that smote him. So you did the right thing, basically, Cúailgne, is what Fergus is saying to him. So then they bound 2 spancels about the ankle joints of Etarcumul's feet, and he was dragged along behind his horses and chariot. Spancel, again, is a twist of wood or cord or rope, often used to hobble animals. So it can be like woven with pliable twigs or with, as I said, with cord or rope. So Etarcumul's feet is bound, and he's dragged back behind his horses and chariot. At every rock that was rough for him, his lungs and his liver were left on the stones and the rugged places. At every place that was smooth for him, his skillfully severed limbs came together again around the horses. In this wise he was dragged through the camp to the door of the tent of Ailill and Maeve. There's your young warrior for you, cried Fergus, for every restoration together with its restitution is what the law saith. Maeve came forth to the door of her tent, and she raised her quick, splitting, loud voice of a warrior. Quick, splitting, loud voice of a warrior. Interesting. Quoth Maeve, truly, methought that great was the heat and the wrath of this young hound on leaving us a while since at the beginning of the day, as he went from the camp. We had thought that the honour under which he went was not the honour of a dastard, even the honour of Fergus. What has crazed the virago and wench, cried Fergus. Good lack, is it fitting for the mongrel to seek the hound of battle, whom the warriors and champions of 4 of the 5 grand provinces of Erin dare not approach nor withstand? What, I myself was glad to escape whole from him. In this manner fell Etarcumul, and such was the combat of Etarcumul and Cúailgne. So Maeve is given out about Cúailgne, basically. And is having the same reaction that Fergus had when he first heard that Etarcumul had been killed by Cúailgne after going honour bound, bound with the honour of Fergus. And Fergus completely forgets that he had exactly the same reaction without hearing the full story, and calls her a crazed virago and wench, and basically takes down Etarcumul, calls him a mongrel, to seek the hound of battle, whom the warriors and champions, blah, blah, blah. So again, Maeve has a big reaction to what seems to be a dishonour and a breaking of oath or breaking of honour. And Fergus is having none of it, and goes straight into character assassination. So that's great. So that is the next installment of the Táin Bó Cúailnge with myself, Lora O'Brien. So make sure that these are happening sporadically, labour of love. I'm going to keep saying it. Stop emailing me when the next one's coming out. I'm getting to them as often as I can, I promise, right? Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss one. And I will be doing roundup posts on the mailing list. So make sure that you're on the mailing list for the irishpaganschool.com or lorao'brien.ie. Okay, so it's long to fall, and I will see you in the next video.